Okay, we've talked about holding period returns. That's the time from when you bought it to when you sold it. Now we're going to talk about two other types of returns that are average annual returns, which is every time period. What did you get on average over each time period? There's two different ways to do that. The arithmetic average, which is the return earned in an average period over multiple periods. We know how to do an arithmetic average, right? You add them all up and divide by the number of time periods. That's really simple. The geometric average is the average compound return per period over multiple periods. That's a little more complicated. We like our compound interest, but it's a little more complicated to figure out, so we're going to do a problem or two on that. The geometric average will be less than the arithmetic average unless all returns are equal. So, that means there's a little difference in them. So what are we going to do? Of course, we're going to do both. We're going to do arithmetic averages and geometric averages so we can look at both. Which one's better? Well, the arithmetic average is overly optimistic for long horizons. And the geometric average is overly pessimistic for short horizons. So as I said, we're going to do both, and that will give us a bracketing or a way of looking at how our returns have fared over time. So let's start with the more complicated one, the geometric average. This still isn't very complicated. You can see that we have our standard formula here of 1 plus the rate of return. In this case, we're multiplying 1 plus the rate of return by each year of the return. So the first number, year return, was 10%, so it's 1 plus 10%, or 1.1. We multiplied that by year 2, which is 1 plus negative 5%, which is 0.95, and so on for 20% and 15%. Now, here's where your math skills might be rusty. Under the radical sign, we're going to the fourth root here. So we have to take that number to the fourth root and then subtract the 1. So the equation ends up being 0.95844, which is 9.58%. So what that says is, on average, we earned 9.5% average compounded return annually on the portfolio of 10, minus 5, 20, and 15. So if those were returns, a compounded return would be 9.58 every year. That's what you would have received in this portfolio. So let's go a little deeper into the math. On the calculator, you've got to remember to include the 1 and then subtract it. So we include the 1, 1.10, 0.95, etc. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is we multiply the returns, and then the returns plus 1. We add the plus 1 and then multiply. Then we use the y to the x key, and we use the reciprocal of the power. So we don't raise it to the fourth power. In this case, we do the reciprocal, which is 1 over 4, or the 0.25. We get the 0.25 is essentially putting it under the radical sign. So if your math skills are rusty, it's okay. Just remember that when you're doing a geometric mean, you take however many time periods. If it was 6, it'd be 1 over 6. In this case, it's 4. It's 1 over 4. 1 over 4 we already know is 0.25. So you do all the multiplication. 1.1 times 0.95 times 1.2 times 1.15, get all the multiplication done, and then you hit y to x, 0.25 equals, and that will give you it'll give you 1.095844, and then you subtract out the 1 and you'll get your answer. So remember, first things first, add the ones, do the math. Then 1 over whatever many time periods it is, whatever that is your y to the x input. Take that and simply do all the math underneath the radical sign, hit y to the x, enter the decimal of the number of years, and then get rid of the 1. And you'll be able to do a geometric mean example. You just use this one as an example on your calculator. Go through these numbers on your calculator. You'll see how easy it is. It's not very difficult at all. The other way to look at this is our investor made an average of 9.58 per period, realizing the holding period return of 44.21%. You can also, just to check the math, is that 1.095844, if you raise it to the fourth power, in other words, if you put 1.095844 in a calculator, hit y to the x 4, not 0.25, 4, it will multiply it 4 times against itself, and then hit equals, you will get the answer that we had for our holding period return. In other words, the answer that we've looked at is what is the average compound return. 958, 958, 958, 958. Well, if you multiply 958 times 958 times 958 times 958, and by that I mean 0.0958, you will get the holding period return. So that actually adds up to the holding period return. So that's the way we find out what our average compounded annual return would be, and that's our geometric mean. Let's go on to the arithmetic mean.